Did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran?
No, I might have forced their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand.
6 airmen died over western Iraq earlier this week aboard a refueling aircraft. Those 6 were 33-year-old Major John A. Klinner from Auburn, Alabama, 31-year-old Captain Ariana G. Savino from Covington, Washington, 34-year-old Tech Sergeant Ashley B. Pruitt from Bardstown, Kentucky, 38-year-old Captain Seth R. Koval from Mooresville, Indiana, 30-year-old Captain Curtis J. Angst from Wilmington, Ohio, and 28-year-old Tech Sergeant Tyler H. Simmons from Columbus, Ohio. The Pentagon said the incident was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire, but said it was still under investigation.
Good day, everybody. Enjoy the win. This is the Florida Win. Another episode of Common Sense with Van Silk. Okay. Now, you know, we are sitting here in a war with Iran. A man-made war. Look at this guy, Peter Hezbollah. He's in charge of the department, the Pentagon. They want to call it Department of War. You know, y'all have to excuse the win, but you took a Fox News weekend newscaster and y'all made him in charge of the Pentagon. Just listen to this clown and how he sit up here and talk about this what we're gonna do. Like, do you even know what you're talking about? I am at a point to where we're in a dark time in this country because we have people who brainwaves is shot. Ego. I want everybody to voice their opinion. I'm America first. You ask these Republicans, are you American or Israel first? They don't even want to answer the question. But just sit here and look at Peter Hezbollah and some of the BS that we got to listen to, and I'll be right back. Common Sense with Van Silk. I'm on rumble.com, youtube.com, and I'm on tiktok.com. Common Sense with Van Silk.
Iran has no air defenses. Iran has no air force. Iran has no navy. Their missiles, their missile launchers and drones being destroyed or shot out of the sky. Their missile volume is down 90%. Their one-way attack drones yesterday, down 95%. And as the world is seeing, they are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. Something we're dealing with, we have been dealing with it, and don't need to worry about it. We're on plan to defeat, destroy, disable all of their meaningful military capabilities at a pace the world.
Pete Hegseth is wildly incompetent. He's like an 8-year-old playing with toy soldiers every day. His language is so fucking offensive. They talk about this in a way that doesn't respect the humanity in the region and certainly is disrespectful to our soldiers, of which there are Pennsylvanians who are engaged in this fight on behalf of a commander-in-chief who doesn't have a clue what he's doing. So this was a war of choice by the president. Wasn't clear why we went in, and it's unclear how we get out. I said the first day of this, or within the first hours, that Congress needed to act, which I know some people think is sort of processy or whatever, but it is actually the way the law of this country works. Sadly, Congress did act, and they acted to give the president carte blanche here. They basically acted to be wildly weak and pathetic souls who are just going to give away their authority to this president. So this is the president's war he started, and now it's the president's war he's got to figure out how to get out of. And he's surrounded by an incompetent leader in Hegseth who I think really doesn't have a clue on what he's doing.
68-year-old Steve Witkoff is a real estate developer in real life who would not have been chosen by any president of the United States to do anything, anywhere, until Donald Trump decided to send him into negotiations, not just in the Middle East, but also in Moscow with Vladimir Putin. Steve Witkoff obviously knew nothing about the Middle East or Vladimir Putin when Donald Trump chose him. And now that he's met Vladimir Putin, he still knows nothing about Vladimir Putin, as he demonstrated so embarrassingly today when Carl Quintanilla at CNBC asked him why Donald Trump decided to allow Vladimir Putin to take full advantage of the explosive increase in the price of oil and profit off of that new price, a new price created by Donald Trump's war.
Do we think that the Russians have shared intelligence about the location of U.S. military assets? And if they have, why would we be giving waivers on Russian oil sanctions?
Well, I'm not an intel officer, so I can't tell you. I can tell you that yesterday on the call with the president, the Russians said that they have not been sharing. That's what they said. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we can take them at their word, but they did say that.
We can take them at their word. He said that. Donald Trump's clown of the day, Steve Witkoff, says we can take Vladimir Putin's word for it that Russia has not been helping Iran target attacks on American military personnel. That is the single worst thing Vladimir Putin could possibly be doing to the United States in this war. And Vladimir Putin knows it. And Vladimir Putin also knows that Donald Trump has always behaved like Vladimir Putin's trained puppy around the Russian dictator. Vladimir Putin knows that he has lied to Donald Trump to his face, and Donald Trump has then gone out to a microphone to tell the world, I believe Vladimir Putin. After credible reporting by MS Now, the New York Times, and the Washington Post that Vladimir Putin was helping Iran target the American military, which led to the deaths of 7 American soldiers and injuring 140 American soldiers, all Vladimir Putin had to do was tell Donald Trump on the phone yesterday that he didn't do it. Donald Trump might not actually be so stupid as to actually believe Vladimir Putin, but it doesn't matter because Donald Trump is deeply perverse enough to publicly claim to believe Vladimir Putin. And so is Steve Witkoff.
I want to play something that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said earlier this week about how this war differs from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Take a listen.
This is not 2003. This is not endless nation building under those types of quagmires we saw under Bush or Obama. It's not even close. Our generation of soldier will not let that happen again.
You're also a part of that generation of soldier. What's your take?
What I'm worried about is not the soldiers and the people who are serving. What I'm worried about is their political leadership, like Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump. You know, we lived through a war that was sold to us on false pretenses when I was younger. This war has not been sold on any pretense. The president just went ahead and did it. Here's the biggest thing that has not changed since the war in Afghanistan or the war in Iraq. The biggest thing that has not changed is who pays the price. We have now seen 13 American service members killed. And when you prepare to go to war, the thing you think about, the thing you most dread, is your family being the ones to get that knock on the door. More than a dozen American families have now gotten that knock on the door, and the president has basically assured us that there will be more where that came from. And while they're paying the ultimate price, every American is paying some price. Right now, mortgage rates are up because of this war. Food is going to be more expensive because of this war. And of course, the price of gas that we're paying at the pump is more expensive because of this war.
I'm back. As we are in a war that's probably not going to end right and end good for a lot of us. We got a lot of young kids that's going to be going to the service, losing their lives over what? All I'm going to say is, I'm posting up a whole bunch of different news, opinion. There's a lot of AI-generated crap going on out here. And I think this administration is responsible for a lot of AI-generated stuff. If the Ellison family's in control of TikTok, y'all need to get rid of a lot of AI stuff. Zuckerberg need to get rid of AI stuff on Facebook and Instagram. And TikTok, X, basically a porn website. This is what happened when the country is in the hands of a bunch of lunatics. But what I'm going to do is take clips from different people post them up, different news organization clips, so we can at least have a great idea or an idea of what's really going on, because we don't think this administration is giving us the real facts, the real truth. Nothing. You'll have to excuse the wind down here. It's a little windy down here in Florida. But all I got to say is, like, we live in the time right now where we have a lunatic who think he's an authoritarian, who think he's a dictator, and now he wants to blame somebody else for what he's done. Meanwhile, Republicans are sitting on their hands because they have no spines. All I can say is, there's a lot of fake videos of these servicemen talking about they proud to go to war. I'm gonna put that in the whole section because it's fake AI generated videos. I'll be right back. Leave an opinion. Your opinion counts.
Mr. President, you just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation, but Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to.
Tyler Simmons lost his life in the war with Iran. Listen to his family beg Trump to end the war.
We didn't need to be in this war. You know, this is uncalled for, and this is what we get.
Families are suffering right now. Not only our family, but there are other families that lost loved ones. And just to create a war because you want to create a war, it's not right.
See these Iranian missiles raining down on Tel Aviv? They're fake. This video is a fabrication, very likely created with AI. Artificial intelligence tools are better than ever. They're widely available, often free, and so social media is a cesspool of fakery right now. There's this fake video supposedly showing a group of U.S. troops captured in Iran, and this fake video supposedly showing an Iranian military facility being blown up, and this fake video supposedly showing people fleeing an Iranian attack on an Israeli airport. Now, in that last one, there are people in suitcases moving in weird ways, a telltale sign of an AI creation, but other fakes of the Iran war are not so easy to spot, and there are dozens of them going around. The trickery isn't all AI either. There's footage of incidents from other countries being presented as being from Iran or Israel, footage of old incidents being shared as new, even clips from war video games being depicted as real clips. So what can the average person do? My top tip is just take an extra second of thinking or reading before you share one of these war videos. Ask yourself, does anything just seem off about it? Out of sync audio and video, oddly shaped objects, material that doesn't match what we know about the war. Ask yourself, has any credible media outlet or subject matter expert confirmed or debunked this clip? What about people in the comments or replies? Have they raised skeptical questions? And AI detection tools. No, they're not perfect, but they can help. Look, this stuff is hard. It has never been easier to get tricked by stuff online, but there are things you can do to protect yourself.
I'm out of there.
With breaking news in the war in Iran now entering its third week. Hundreds have been killed, millions displaced, billions of dollars spent, the war expanding across the region. The U.S. military says 13 service members have been killed. Tonight, President Trump renewed calls for countries that rely on oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz to send warships to secure the shipping route. The strategic waterway now largely blocked for oil exports. CBS's Charlie D'Agata is in Tel Aviv and leads us off tonight. Charlie, good evening.
Good evening, Jerika. Tonight, President Trump is calling on countries from the UK and France, South Korea, and Japan, even China, to help keep open the Strait of Hormuz, that vital shipping lane, as Iran tries to strangle the flow of oil from this region. Thick black plumes of smoke rose into the sky above the United Arab Emirates, the major oil port of Fujairah, in flames as the Gulf states bear the brunt of a war they didn't start. President Trump said a U.S. bombing raid totally obliterated military targets on Iran's Karg Island, a key oil facility, while leaving its energy infrastructure untouched. Iran, in turn, threatened to target U.S.-linked regional oil facilities. It's already attacked at least 16 tankers and other vessels. In Iraq, smoke was seen coming from the vicinity of the U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad's Green Zone. We're also learning more tonight about some of the 6 American aircrew killed when their KC-135 refueling aircraft crashed in an apparent mid-air collision over Iraq on Thursday. Tech Sergeant Tyler Simmons, 28, of Columbus, was one of 3 Ohio Air National Guard members to have died, according to his family. Sergeant Simmons was a boom operator. This video showing him refueling a fighter jet mid-flight. His mom, Cheryl, said she spoke with her son just the day before.
He was truly an amazing man. And to do the job as an air refueler is a special person. He's just that guy, and he would do anything for you.
While in Iran, Red Crescent workers recovered the bodies of the latest round of U.S. airstrikes, the death toll climbing to more than 1,400, according to the regime. So Pentagon sources tell CBS News that among thousands more U.S. troops that are on their way to the Middle East is a contingent of around 2,500 Marines. Derica spent plenty of time on those amphibious ships, and a ground assault is just one of the options that they're trained and equipped for.
Charlie D'Agata in Tel Aviv.
What are the conditions under which you feel that war can get nuclear? And what would be the objective of that sort of attack?
I hate to even speak these words, Nima, but I think that there is a possibility that it could go nuclear. It would be, of course, on the part of the Israelis. Independent analysts believe that the Israelis have between 80 and 200 nuclear weapons. The Israelis deny, they don't deny, they just refuse to comment on whether or not they have a program. The Israelis are not signatories to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So nobody's doing inspections, for example, of Israeli nuclear sites. But they've had nuclear weapons since the 1950s. I think that if an Iranian military if an Iranian military victory were increasingly clear, and if the Iranians were successful in destabilizing the Arab countries on the peninsula side of the Persian Gulf, or if the Iranians posed a genuine threat, military threat to Israel, I could see the situation going nuclear. Yes.
Oh, by the way, everyone, if we do go to war, and if you're dumb enough to sign up to go to Iran, just so you know, we can't beat Iran. We haven't won a war in 80 years. I don't know why everybody seems to forget that we don't win these wars. I mean, somebody wins. It ain't you. It ain't you fighting it. That's for goddamn sure. But all of them have so if we go to bomb Iran, Iran has hypersonic missiles that we do not have. So think of how much money.
They do?
Oh, yes.
How do you know what the military has?
Oh, we did a story on it, and I was like this. I'm like, are you shitting me? We don't have the best missiles.
Is the Strait of Hormuz safe for shipping right now, Mr. Secretary?
No, it is not. That's one of the objectives at the end of this conflict, is to reopen the Straits of Hormuz. But no, it is. Since the conflict began, Iran has impeded flow through the Straits of Hormuz, and that is still the case today.
Is Iran laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz?
Look, you see flow through the Straits of Hormuz right now. There were 5 tanker ships that went through the straits last night, carrying liquid petroleum gas, liquefied natural gas, and crude oil. So we know flow through the Straits of Hormuz is possible. The risk is if Iran fires on those ships. A convoy flew through last night. Iran did not fire on them. probably they made a deal with India.
Very quickly, Mr. Secretary, there's a big debate over whether you all were prepared for what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. If you were prepared, why is the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed right now?
Because it's right near the Iranian shoreline. The world is abundantly supplied with oil and energy. We knew there would be a short-term disruption in energy flows. And to hear Chuck Schumer say that we didn't is just so, he knows how foolish that is. And to say stuff to try to undermine the United States in the midst of a world-changing conflict just boggles my mind. But this mission was carefully planned out. It's been superbly executed. On the other side, we'll be in a much better place. The greatest driver of terrorism in the world, the greatest threat to global energy supplies will be defanged. Yes, we have disruption to get there, but we're going to be in a much, much better place.
Donald Trump is sending more American service members to fight the U.S.-Israel war with Iran. Today, the Pentagon announced it is sending what it is called an expeditionary unit to the Middle East. 5,000 troops and several additional ships. A U.S. official with knowledge of the matter tells MS Now. Crucially, that could mean boots on the ground. U.S. service members deployed in Iran, something Trump and his officials have quite pointedly refused to take off the table. There have already been deadly consequences to this war of choice. 13 American service members have died. That includes 6 who just lost their lives yesterday when their refueling aircraft went down over Iraq. U.S. Central Command says that was not the result of hostile or friendly fire. We're seeing the human cost to all this as countries throughout the region are releasing their own death tolls. In Iran, at least 1,400 people have died. Nearly 700 more in Lebanon. 15 in Israel, more than 75 others in the surrounding Gulf states. They almost certainly will not be the last as the regional conflict drags on to over a dozen countries with no clear end on the horizon right now.
Why do you think Iran has been attacked?
This is the U.S. Attempt to continue or maintain or sustain its global hegemony. This is a war for control of the Middle East. It's a war for control of the oil of the Middle East. It is not at all what Donald Trump said about any threat from Iran. This is just an imperial lie. This is an imperial war, and it is a very vicious one, and it is probably the start of World War III, I have to say.
President Trump is acting like an international gangster, threatening to trample over the sovereignty of an ally, threatening the end of NATO altogether, and now threatening to hit our country and 7 European allies with outrageous, damaging tariffs unless he gets his hands on Greenland. This is an incredibly grave moment for the United Kingdom, Europe, and our world. Without provocation or justification, the President of the United States is attacking our economy, our livelihoods, and our national security. Trump has put British businesses and jobs on the front line in his unprovoked aggression. The only people cheering him on are Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. Only a few months ago, Trump hailed the special relationship at Windsor Castle. Now, thanks to his actions, it is nearly in tatters. So how do we stop Trump's damaging trade war? For a year now, Madam Deputy Speaker, the Prime Minister has tried a policy of appeasing Trump, flattering him, fawning over him, refusing to stand up to him, because, he argued, otherwise Trump would hit us with damaging tariffs. Well, the Prime Minister has tested his approach to destruction. It has failed. It is time for the government to change course. We have to finally be clear-eyed about the sort of man Trump is and treat him accordingly. He is a bully. He thinks he can grab whatever he wants using force if necessary. And he is corrupt. The most corrupt president the United States has ever seen. So there are only 2 ways of getting him to back down: bribing him with a new jet perhaps, or a few billion in his crypto account, or standing up to him like we would with any other bully. Standing together with our European allies to make him back down. That's the choice. Which one, Foreign Secretary?
$890 million per day. Think about that. That's how much Trump is costing us in a war with Iran. $890 million per day. What do you think our country could do with that money in just 30 days? Social Security secured for every generation for life. Universal health care for everyone. A livable wage for teachers and nurses so they wouldn't have to pay out of their own pocket for supplies while billionaire fat cats profit. The only war that we should be in today is a war on greed. A war on poverty. Because once that war starts and we take back from the billionaires and the corrupt politicians everything they took from all of us, only then will we truly be America first. But y'all MAGA people want to keep on making justifications for this immoral, corrupt pedopotus because you're too prideful. You're too consumed with hubris. You can't simply say you were wrong. And I will repeat, as I always have, even though y'all hate me, denouncing Donald Trump and this administration does not magically turn you into a mythical lib. You can remain Republican and conservative and we can still disagree about shit. And we will. But the MAGA movement is and always was a foreign-funded psyop to get you to not only want to harm me, but harm yourselves. Remember when that flag stood for freedom? All you gotta do is reach out and admit it.
Iran asked for a ceasefire.
No, we never asked for a ceasefire, and we have never asked even for negotiation. We are ready to defend ourselves as long as it takes, and this is what we have done so far, and we continue to do that until President Trump comes to the point that this is an illegal war.
How quickly the mighty can stumble. We've reached the strange moment where Iran is basically telling the United States, go ahead, bring it on, or just admit you miscalculated this war. Let that sink in for a second. We are now at a point in American diplomacy where a good part of the world seems more inclined to believe Iran than the President of the United States.